Hey everyone, John here with some news on the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered for Nintendo Switch 2, because up until now, any news has been rather sparse. But now, we know the release date, we know the format of which the game is going to be distributed in, and we've even seen the game a little bit, which up until now has also been minimal. So, the release date. The game is officially coming out on August 11th, 2026. And that's in just over a month's time, so another game getting out of the November window and also out of the September window, which is maybe even busier than any other month in the year right now. So a nice August release, pretty dang cool. But also, according to Video Games Plus, which is a Canadian retailer, the game is shipping on a total game card. Not game key card, not code in a box, but a full-on game card. And this is notable for a couple of reasons. The first notable reason is any other physical version of the game is not really on the disc. So the PS5 version has 19 gigabytes on the disc, but the game is 120 gigabytes, so it's kind of crazy that barely any of it actually exists on the physical media. So the Switch 2 version is seemingly entirely on the game card, so they've squished the file size down by around half. And I've also put everything on the actual game card itself. So that's really, really cool. It's something that Indiana Jones did as well in a very similar compression format. But games like Fallout 4 and Skyrim Anniversary were just code in a box. And when Oblivion Remastered was announced for Switch 2, that was also code in a box. So it seems like they've learned their lesson, they've backtracked, and not only have they not done code in a box, but they've not done game key card. So maybe Indiana Jones did better than we thought it did, which is beautiful thing to hear. That's a great version of that game, and the only true physical version of that game. We've also had a 2-minute commercial, but barely any gameplay footage is actually shown. This is largely a live-action commercial, with your biggest fan following you around wherever you go, because that's the nature of this version of the game. He can never leave you anymore. And we get a few seconds of gameplay at the very end. And I think for the most part, it's looking pretty promising. But there is this scene right here where if you pause it, you can see a lot of DOSS-looking breakup on all the fur here. So I think certain details are probably going to get lost. But you do need to keep into account, this is a high-profile, heavy Unreal Engine 5 game that runs poorly on PlayStation 5 and Series X and pretty high-level PCs. This game is not very well optimized anywhere, and so maybe the extra year of development on the Switch 2 version, and that it's likely being done by a different studio as well, may mean that the optimization and just the way that it runs is going to be very different to other versions, but we shall see. At the very least though, do expect some visual compromises, especially when it comes to the DOSS elements like fur and hair, but otherwise, surprisingly, looking pretty great. And you know what? Bethesda have been really good at supporting the Switch 2 in its first year. We've had Indiana Jones, Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 4. Basically all the heavy hitters are there. I'd love for them to dive further back and give us remasters of like Fallout 3 and New Vegas, and other games in their back catalogue, including a certain game from a studio that they no longer own anymore. That would be nice, but I don't know if they can do that now. I am kind of in two minds about Oblivion Remastered on the Switch 2. So when this game first came out, we did a comparison against the original. So the left side is 360 and the right side is Series X, not Switch 2. And it's definitely a very different art style. I'd say the original Oblivion was known for its quite gloomy atmosphere, big green colors, lots of light seeping in. It felt fantasy and dreamlike. And the remastered version is a lot more like how Skyrim looks. Things are a little bit more muted and real, and it doesn't have the same vibe anymore. Pretty, no doubt, but I don't know. When I play this version, I don't really feel Oblivion. But on the other hand, it's a handheld version, an accessible handheld version, not necessarily a handheld PC, which are becoming more and more, inaccessible due to the prices just gradually increasing all the time. And so to have, just a neat, easy, portable version of Oblivion entirely on the game card, that's still cool. But yeah, unlike Series X, we've got the choice between the original and the remaster. You're just kind of stuck with this version. Same with PS5. No access to the original Oblivion on that one either. But that being said, Oblivion is one of my favorite Elder Scrolls games, so maybe it's worth being stuck with for ease of access in a handheld form. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let me know if this will be your first time playing Oblivion or Oblivion Remastered, or whether you're going to skip entirely. And I wouldn't blame you, given the parent company. Anyway, we'll catch you next time. Goodbye, everybody.